Johnny Somali.
He's that one IRL streamer that went to Japan and streamed himself being racist to Japanese people.
Being obnoxious, being a nuisance, things you cannot do in Japan.
It's a mystery how he hasn't been deported.
Each actions and each videos that he took and each of his contents are full of crimes, of course.
Come catch me, I'm outside tomorrow. Come find me.
Hopefully we can move past this and have a better future.
Hey, Fukushima. Whoa, Fukushima. Hey, Fukushima. Hey, Fukushima.
Regarding Johnny Somali, we are flooded with updates. This narrative simply gets more and more powerful. New details on when his trial is scheduled to start, the charges leveled against him, and the state of affairs in the court system now abound.
I want to apologize to the Korean people. I was not aware of the significance of the statue. You know what I mean? It was just entertainment for my audience. My intention in coming to Korea was not to cause this kind of stuff. My intention was to come here, do my live streams, make content, and be funny. So to all the people of South Korea, I just want to apologize for what I've done, and I really did not mean to hurt your guys' pride this much, and I will no longer talk about your statue or touch it ever again. I hope that I can live in peace here in South Korea.
All of these specifics originate from the channel Legal Mindset. Hence, a great shout out to them for handling this case's significant work is appropriate. Check out their channel. Their link in the description is quite important. Let us start straight with these revisions. Legal Mindset visited the Maipo police station lately and discovered a wealth of material about Johnny Somali's case. First of all, the burning issue. When will his first court appearance take place? Actually, Johnny changed his address and formally asked for a public defender only last Monday. This action suggests his getting ready for the trial. Here's where it gets much more fascinating now. Comprising a startling victory ratio of over 90% in instances involving obstruction of business, the prosecutor assigned to his trial is a legal juggernaut.
Oh, what is your opinion on all the stuff that is happening with Johnny Somali in Korea? Yeah, once he finished with the police investigation, he will be deported, and what he did was horrible.
For Johnny Somali, this is not good, since such a high success rate implies the chances are set against him. Regarding the chronology, December 2024, probably just before the holidays, is the first hearing scheduled. Indeed, we will shortly see him standing in a courtroom facing the music. There is a lot of speculation regarding his possible term length. Some sites have thrown up somewhat disparate figures, 10 years, 22 years, or even more extreme numbers like 70 or a millennium. Though a lot of uncertainty exists, the actual narrative is beginning to take shape. Given the weight of these charges and a high-stakes prosecutor on the case, Johnny's future seems more hazy than it was years ago.
Anyway, Johnny Somali was arrested partially for his own safety because after days of him streaming himself being incredibly rude and disruptive in South Korea, there were literally hundreds of Asian people on the street all hunting down a black guy to sucker punch. Incredibly good at getting out of things. For example, somehow he was able to leave Israel a free man after he was arrested for harassing a military police officer.
Thanks to Legal Mindset's painstaking investigation, let us now dissect this and explore the numbers to determine the actual prison time Johnny Somali could be subject to for the crimes already reported, as well as any other charges that might surface. However, first we must grasp how the South Korean court system works and what its methodical approach consists in before we can sort those specifics. Spoilers, it's a lot more complicated than you might believe. Legal Mindset produced a comprehensive graph to simplify the procedure, and it's quite useful in knowing what's going on behind the scenes. First, let us address the criminal complaint. Step 1. Here's where it all starts. Authorities have to gather all crucial information about the defendant, including passport details, birth date, current location, and more.
And the police, from what I believe, were watching people that were watching him and were making comments on, where the police were kind of making sure that he's not attacked. But my understanding is the police are not protecting Johnny. They're not keeping him close because they're protecting him. They're keeping him close because they were formulating a case, which they filed today. So they had a ton of people watching this one, and they announced the fact that he was actually criminally booked.
Before the complaint may proceed in the system, it must be exactly structured. Missing even a small element could cause the case to be delayed overall. The police inquiry, usually running 2 to 4 months, comes second. The police interrogate the defendant and any involved witnesses extensively in this phase. They compile and examine every bit of the accessible data piece by piece. The crucial choice comes next. Will they pass up the case to a prosecutor or drop it? Should they choose the latter, they offer a recommendation for indictment, therefore guiding the matter into the next more dramatic stage. Stage 3 leads us to the roughly 2 to 4 month prosecutor inquiry.
This message is for Johnny Somali.
So Johnny, not only are you pissing off Koreans all over the world, but you just pissed off a lot of the wrong people. Don't come back to America, Mr. Somali. It's your only warning. How many do you want to lose, Johnny? Because the price that you need to pay for playing stupid games is the lives of your crew, your family, and everyone you're goddamn connected to.
You gotta watch your back. We're not to be with. With us in LA, we go on the roofs and literally snipe you motherfuckers. You fuck with us in the motherland, you're fucking dead. Like, you gotta watch your back, I'm telling you. If you're in a 20-mile radius to where I live, be prepared to see, like, straight up. And I'm saying this as an American. I'm a Korean American, right? But it's in my bones. When people with Koreans, I intrinsically have this desire to make them find out.
Here things grow much more difficult. Often surpassing what the police find, South Korean prosecutors are renowned for their rigidity and thoroughness. With an eye toward a conviction, they examine every piece of evidence, cross-reference every interview, and compile a case. Should the police probe be the appetizer, the prosecutor's phase is the main course, and they are unreserved in their actions. Once they get this level, cases in South Korea are hardly dropped. Prosecutors pursue their cases non-stop. They go beyond the starting costs. They regularly try to exacerbate the charges by piling on more violations, therefore ensuring heavier sentences. They also interview defendants tougher, more probingly. It's a thorough procedure meant to make convictions stick. The trial phase, a totally public event, comes in step 4. Open debates, public hearings, and sessions usually spaced out over 2 months comprise this phase. Then arrives the turning point, verdict day. The decision and sentence in South Korea are generally revealed on the same day, so lacking any suspense.
Where Gino at? What's up, you guys?
Yo, Gino!
Yeah, call Gino. Gino, hop in the cab, Gino. Gino! Gino, hurry your dumb ass up. Gino! Who's this guy? What's up? Who's this guy? How are you guys? Police? Police? What the f*** are you fucking laughing at me? What the f*** is this? なんて言ってます？了解です。あ、で、OK。OK、かけるよ。はい。あ、差し押さえ。全部差し押さえないの。大体。携帯電話と関係する証拠品。差し押さえ。はい。はい。34分ね。はい。Take it off。これではい。33分。はい。はい。で、押さえ。Wait, can you go to my bag? Go to my bag. Zip my bag. 携帯とか充電関係。Zip my bag. あと身分証明。Zip my bag. Zip my bag. Yo, free Somali. Hashtag free Somali.
Step 5 addresses post-sentence restrictions. A convicted person cannot leave the nation throughout their term. Penalties also range from heavy penalties to forced labor should fines not be paid, incarceration, or even a suspended term under some conditions. For those found guilty of several offenses, things might get really bad. Penalties compound, worse punishments are probably in store. Given the schedule, the trial process itself lasts roughly 7 months. Hence, Johnny Somali is essentially looking at being imprisoned in South Korea for the foreseeable future. Should things go as planned, by June, he will probably start serving a prison sentence. For him, the picture is quite bleak. After we understand the nuances of the South Korean legal system, let's review Johnny Somali's present and possible charges. Obstacle of business is his main task. It has already reached stage 4. He has an official indictment for at least one offense. Another count is currently pending. The possible penalty for this crime is severe, up to 5 years of imprisonment and a fine of 15 million Korean won, or around 11,000 per count. Consequently, even one conviction could have life-changing effects. Let us now explore the profound, phony image charges. One troubling aspect of this case is now in stage 2, the police inquiry phase. Though there could be more, at least 3 counts are under examination. The possible penalty per count is substantial, up to 5 years in prison and fines of 50 million Korean won. Should the photos be deemed obscene, the prison term might be considerably more severe, and other charges pertaining to internet harassment could also be taken into consideration. This invites a more intense legal fight for Johnny Somali. The assault charges come next in stage 2 as well. Police are aggressively probing at least 1 count, and more could surface. The penalty for simple assault might be 5 million Korean won plus 2 years of imprisonment. The stakes drastically increase, though, if the charge is raised to aggravated assault, which calls for either evidence of injuries or a weapon. A significantly more severe allegation, aggravated assault, carries a maximum jail sentence of up to 10 years. Currently under police stage 2 investigation, there is also a quite concerning charge of obscene threats aimed at minors. This entails at least 1 count, and should one be found guilty, the possible prison penalty is 3 years. Furthermore, in stage 2 of the police inquiry, Johnny deals with a public obscenity accusation. Although this count has a lesser penalty, up to 1 year in prison, it adds still another layer to his escalating legal problems. It's crucial to underline, before we proceed with more charges, that most of these accusations are still under investigation. Most stay at stage 2, which indicates they have not advanced to prosecution or trial, although this would imply some uncertainty if the investigations support the claims. The sheer amount and gravity of the accusations present a dismal picture of what Johnny Somali has ahead. Usually, South Korean investigations span 2 to 4 months. Clearly, nevertheless, the government felt enormous pressure to move quickly in Johnny Somali's obstruction case. In this case, it merely took roughly 2 weeks from the occurrence date to formally charge him. The public outcry and his problematic online presence, which clearly highlighted the case, probably contribute to this faster tempo. For this particular case at least, authorities seem driven to expedite things. Said otherwise, one must control expectations and practice patience. Legal procedures take time, especially those involving several charges. Although Johnny has been legally accused of obstructing business, many of the other charges remain under inquiries. Though slowly turning, rest assured the wheels of justice are in motion. It's about allowing the process to run as detectives compile data and prepare their cases. Let us now turn to some of the other possible allegations Johnny Somali could be liable for. Among them is unlawfully viewing pornographic content with a possible 1-year prison sentence. Additionally, breaking train safety rules might result in up to 2 years behind bars. Then there is enthusiasm for violence, which might bring him up to 3 years in prison, and even a probable breach of anti-terrorism rules with a maximum sentence of 7 years. Including on the list are charges made by South Korean YouTubers. Though the precise procedure by which private persons can file charges in South Korea is unknown now, it seems to be a reasonable line of action. Among these charges, blackmail might result in up to 10 years, while insults carry a lesser punishment of up to 1 year, while obscene threats to minors might add another 3 years to his possible punishment. The deepfake-related crimes already mentioned could result in 5 or more years. While assisting the DPRK, North Korea might result in up to 7 years behind prison. Other offenses, such as obstruction of business, carry penalties of up to 5 years. Given the growing number of accusations, the total possible sentences show a terrible picture. Every stage of the inquiry seems to expose more legal problems, therefore aggravating Johnny Somali's already complex and terrible circumstances. Assuming the maximum penalty for every charge, which hardly occurs, you could toss out extreme numbers like 248 years, 722 years, or even more if you total all the possible sentences Johnny Somali could face. Let us ground this. Nevertheless, in actuality, he currently stands staring at a maximum of 5 years in prison for the counts he has already been accused of. That said, this figure is practically certain to alter shortly. YouTuber Legal Minded claims that early next week, more charges are expected to be filed. Should Johnny be found guilty, this could greatly extend his incarceration term. Adding still another twist to this developing story, One of Johnny Somali's best moderators apparently chose to change sides. Now ready for an interview with Legal Mindset, this person is booked for tomorrow a.m. This progress might throw fresh light on Johnny's behavior and offer further proof against him. Should that be of interest to you, I will shortly be offering my viewpoint on it once specifics start to show. Legal Mindset revealed in related news that he has gotten shockingly 7 privacy complaints. While I have personally gotten a few, fortunately, thus far, YouTube has turned down all of them. It appears Johnny Somali might now use another strategy, maybe launching copyright strikes or other means of quiet criticism. It gets worse, but these techniques hardly ever work, particularly when targeted at someone like Legal Mindset, who understands the law both inside and out. This is not only a bad tactic, but also a losing game, trying to scare or outmaneuver a lawyer in this sense. The narrative keeps changing, and fresh levels and conflicts practically every day surface. Although Johnny Somali's legal problems are already mounting, his attempts to counterattacks against critics seem to be failing horribly, therefore aggravating the situation. Let's consider just how quickly Johnny Somali's ship is sinking before we call to close. Almost unbelievable is what it is. Not only is one of his top moderators scheduled to interview Legal Mindset tomorrow, but apparently another moderator has lately jumped ship and is disclosing private information. But that's not all for Johnny's already collapsed circumstances. These betrayals resemble nails in the coffin. The aftermath is fast growing and he does not seem to be in sight of a lifeline. The fact that Johnny lost his job makes matters even worse. One of the main means he's kept himself is by harassing and profiting from people for money. His choices are quickly limited as the South Korean government is closely observing his behavior. He's cornered. Reality is cruel. Before his trial ends, he is waiting 7 months. But those 7 months will drive him right into jail rather than freedom. There doesn't seem to be any way he could turn around his declining spiral. It is accelerating. Subscribe to my channel if you wish further updates on this matter. I promise to provide you with the most recent, pertinent material as it comes across. And if other wild tales appeal to you, view my film on why Johnny Somali got arrested and facing 30-year prison sentence.